Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're here, please say hi in the comments. My name is Melanie Josephine, and tonight I am talking about My name is Melanie Josephine, and tonight I am talking about comparison. This live stream was inspired by one of my friends who just asked a question about comparison. However, when I thought about it and when I looked it up, I realized, you know what, there is so much actually going on with this topic, so much information, and we all really struggle with it in one way or another. And that's why I wanted to bring it here and chat to you about it. And if you have any questions, as you always know, you can always write it in the chat and I will address it. I just finished watching the news and I saw that we might possibly have a vaccine, and I just needed to mention it because I nearly cried, and that made me realize how much this whole COVID thing has actually impacted me more than I thought it did. I thought I actually handled it all quite well, and I think I did, but the fact that I nearly cried made me realize that I just can't wait to go back to life with normality and just leave all of that behind me. And I think a lot of people probably feel the same way. Comment below how you feel about it. So there are 3 different ways of comparison, which is also something I didn't know until I researched it. And we mainly do one of them, which is the more negative one. So, okay, let's get into it. The one that we do the most is we compare ourselves with somebody who has something that we want, but we don't have it yet. And I've written down that it's a type of negative comparison because we are putting ourselves down. We're looking up, but we're putting ourselves down. Like, why don't we have that? That person's way further in life. Actually, the best example, when I got this question, I thought, oh, I don't compare myself very much. But the truth is, we all do. And even if I would, like, I wouldn't say I do it extensively, but just this morning, I was thinking about all the things that I wish I had, and how often when I go on Instagram, by the way, I have no idea how Instagram does this because I don't follow very many people, and I don't, I'm not really actually on there very much, but in this section where they suggest things, somehow there are always things that I want in my life, and I can barely look at it, but we're gonna talk about how to deal with these sort of things. The other way is we can actually look up to somebody, we can actually compare ourselves to somebody who has something that we want or has achieved something that we want, and not put ourselves down, but use that as inspiration, as a goal, as somebody to look up to. I think we do that actually way too little, or we don't think about the possibility that we can compare ourselves in that way as well. And then the third way is that we, I don't know how to say this in a nice way. Like, we look, not, I was going to say we look who's like below us, but that's not what I mean, because obviously we are all equal as human beings, but basically who has less than us. Marissa Peer always says in her meditation or in her video, think about the person who is out there, who, if they had what you have, that would be their dream life. Like, she always says, like, your child that you complain about, or your boyfriend you complain about, or the job that you don't like, that is somebody else's dream. And I think that's actually a really great way to look at it, if you want to bring yourself back to gratitude, if you want to bring yourself, if you want to ground yourself. But basically that third way of comparison is perspective. And I think it was actually another life coach, I think it was Laura Marlina Seiler, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was her. She was mentioning this in one of her podcasts, and she was saying that she went to an event and she said to the trainer how she always compares, like how she always puts herself down and compares herself. And he was saying, if you must compare yourself, at least compare yourself with somebody who has less than you. So, oh, hello, Amy. You're online. Lovely to see you tonight. And so, yeah, I just wanted to explain those 3 different ways and how you can use that for yourself. I quickly, before I forget, want to say something about Instagram. Not just Instagram, but when I mentioned just now that sometimes Instagram shows me something that I want and I can barely look at it and I'm like, oh no, I don't want to see that. They have what I want. If you have seen a lot of my live streams, you know that I always say that you should see yourself in the other person. The other person is a mirror to you, and that the way I found love is when I finally realized, when I see myself as love and not separated from love anymore, that's when it came to me. And I do believe that it is the same with the other things that I want, and with the things that you want, that you, when you see something that you want, rather than putting yourself down, seeing yourself as one with what you want, and connect with that in that way. And I'm sure you've heard people say, unfollow everybody on Instagram or other media platforms that don't serve you, that don't uplift you. And I agree with that to a degree. I think that when you do that, think about why are you really unfollowing them? I mean, are you unfollowing them because they really bring you down with what they're posting, or do they bring you down because you can't see them, you can't see yourself in them, you can't see yourself as one, or you can't see the inspiration in them? Another really, really good example is recently I saw a coaching session with somebody who said, I have this friend who's way more confident than I am, and I can only see her so often. I mean, I can only see her very occasionally, not very often, because I feel really low when we say bye to each other, like after we spend time with each other. And this is not because this friend is like an energy sucker or is like somebody who puts her down. And this is the key. What is putting her down in that moment are her thoughts. Because her thought is, I am less confident than she is. She looks at her and she thinks, oh my gosh, she is just way more confident. I am like not confident at all, or something like that. It's not the friend who puts this person down. It's this person's thoughts. And what else could she be thinking? She could be thinking, what is this person doing to be so confident? What can I learn from her? What can I think about her and myself to feel differently? Because the truth is, it's actually very, very powerful. If, let's take this example, this girl wants to be more confident and she has a confident friend, it's actually very, very helpful when we connect with what we want, when we have somebody who has what we want, which is often not the case, actually. So this girl's actually very fortunate that she can go and spend time with this person who is confident, and she can learn from that. Maybe she can even ask her friend, how is it that you're always so confident? I don't know if I've mentioned this in one of the previous live streams, but I recently did one on self-love. And one of my friends contacted me after the live stream and said, yes, Sita, I do all these things for myself at all times, maybe not every day, but frequently. And this, for example, is a person who's super confident. And that then made so much sense to me, but I never knew that before. I was under the impression that all of that confidence just flows to her and she never has to do anything for it. But turns out that wasn't true. Something else I heard somebody say a while ago, actually, is that whenever they feel like the inkling of comparing themselves to someone, they tell themselves, okay, if I want this thing that this person has, then I must want all of that person's life. And maybe that person has experienced a whole lot of other things that we then don't want. And I think that's actually a very interesting way of looking at it, and hadn't heard it in that way before, because we always look at these tiny little things, or maybe big things that we want, but then we don't think about, okay, but what else is behind that facade? Because we only post pictures where we look really happy, where we have amazing experiences, but we don't post pictures or videos how we cry at night or how we suffering. Only a fraction of that is posted. And so another thing that I recently heard Jay Shetty say, he was saying in his podcast that rather than comparing ourselves, we should have more close and more meaningful conversations, because when we do, we realize that we are closer to each other than we think. And I think that's so true. Like, the more connected you are to everybody around you, the more you have deeper, meaningful conversations with people, and you don't only talk about the weather. You'll figure out that everybody has something upsetting in their life, or something that bothers them, or something that they need to work on, or something that they're struggling with. And that goes for millionaires, that goes for people who seem to be doing really well on Instagram or with their families. And yeah, I think that there's definitely a lot of truth to that. Let me quickly have a look at my notes. I want to mention a quote, which is by Theodore Roosevelt. Comparison can be the thief of joy. So another concept that I came across is inner and outer comparison, which means inner comparison is when I compare myself, like from within, and outer comparison is when somebody else compares me, because that happens a lot too. Like in, I don't know, if you're a mom and you go to a play group, like where kids are in their developmental stages is compared all the time. Or I actually, now nobody ever says that to me, or I don't really see it as a problem. But in the past, people would always say that I am smaller than other people, like I don't have the same height. But like a lot of the time, these things, these comparisons are just, I don't know, just not really necessary, but we do them. I think it may be going back to way back in the past, when we all lived in groups, and if we were different to our group, then that would be, well, if we couldn't stay in our group, then that would be a problem for our survival. So I think because our brain hasn't caught up yet, that's why, and that's one of the reasons we compare ourselves. Like if we're different in any way, then our brain thinks, oh my gosh, there's a problem. We must be like everybody else. Maybe this is also why we all seem to have it in our head that the life goal is a house, a marriage, a car, and a baby. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm sometimes wondering, because in this podcast by Jay Shetty, he was saying that we should, wait, I actually wrote it down. He said that in order to get away from comparison is that you need to define for yourself what success is to you. Because if you don't define what success is to you, then you will subconsciously just adopt what's out there, which is basically what I just said. And I think that's what a lot of us have done, to the degree that today I actually asked myself, do I want these things because I want them, or do I want these things because society has planted a seed in my subconscious mind and I have started to believe that I can't be happy without these things? I would be so curious what you think about this. Please feel free to write in the chat or comment below if you're watching the replay of this video, because I mean, that's really an interesting thought, isn't it? Okay, let's have a look. I have a few other things that I wrote down. Oh yeah, I also wrote down that this whole comparison thing totally goes against like uniqueness and authenticity, which is at the same time what we're all striving to, isn't it? Because if we just want to be like everybody else, then we are not authentic, we are not our unique self, and that just completely goes against that. And I have found that the more authentic I show up, the more unique I show up, the more I love myself, the more I have fun. And I think, I'm actually not 100% sure, but I think that I also come across in a more fun way, and I think people enjoy me more when I'm authentic, I think. And then, yeah, when you, what I've noticed in this research and thinking about this is also that, I mean, all these topics kind of relate to each other, that when you really worship yourself, when you really love yourself, it is easier to not compare yourself as much. And also when you practice just being in the moment and being really present and grateful for what you have, where you are right now, then that is taking you away from all of that comparison game, because you are just so present. To be honest, just talking about it just made me feel so much more love in my heart and feel so much more presence. Yes, so whenever you feel like you're getting lost in this comparison game, bring yourself back to gratitude and the present moment. And whenever you feel that social media or comparing yourself to people on Instagram is making you feel bad, really ask yourself, what's the issue? And if it's truly the content of what somebody posts, then definitely unfollow them. But if it's your thoughts, like that person is doing better than me or something like that, then really take a step back and ask yourself, where can I see myself in that person, and how can I feel love and oneness so that I can draw that into my life too? But I also want to say that if you feel that that's too soon, that's just too much to ask at this point in time, as you're working towards there, you may just want to say, no, for now, I just want to unfollow, because if you're not able to make that connection to oneness, then if you're just creating negativity for yourself, then definitely unfollow for the time being. Let me have a look. Oh, yes, this is very important. So, since we are always talking about relationships on this channel, I realized as I was doing research that comparison is not just one, like you're often not just comparing yourself with one person. Actually, I don't know what you do, but I think a lot of people, including myself, and this is what I've noticed in the research, is that we also compare our relationship with other people's relationships, or we sometimes compare our partner with other people's partners, or some people compare their current partner with their ex-partner. That's something I don't really do, but I think it's so easily done that, especially, I think this is probably like a weak point, especially if there is something that you would like your partner to do and he doesn't, that you would like your partner to do and he doesn't do it, or is not a thing, or you just, well, he's his own person, you just can't make him do it because he's his own person making his own decisions and you can't control him. And then you go out and you meet your friend and her boyfriend's doing all the things for her that you want your boyfriend to do for you. And I think that can be really, really negative influence on your relationship if you are otherwise happy in your relationship and your boyfriend is doing quite a few things for you. That if you're picking on these things that he doesn't, if you're focusing and putting energy towards the things that he doesn't do, then you'll get more of that, because that is the law of attraction. If you're focusing and putting energy towards the things that he doesn't do, then you'll get more of that, because that is the law of attraction. And so I just, thinking about it, I thought that's just something so important to be aware of, that is just not helpful, because maybe your friend's partner or whoever's partner you're comparing your relationship to, you don't really know how well they're doing behind the scenes, so you don't really know if their partner's doing things that your partner's doing for you. And therefore, I think this is a really important one to mention. And if you have any anything you want to comment on that topic, I'm very interested in that. Yeah, I also wrote that this is actually quite underestimated, what the influence of that comparison onto your relationship can be. Oh yeah, this is also a very important one. So when you compare yourself, you're basically looking at the other person's strengths and what they have or what they've achieved. And you're not looking at all at your strengths and what you have achieved. So to pull away from that comparison is really to hone in and focus on what I just said, what you have, what you can worship in your life, what you have achieved. Something that a friend of mine very often says, if I feel down or upset, or I tell her something, yeah, but I would have wanted to achieve this and this and this, she said, well, you've already written 2 books, you've won an award, not many people can say that. That's the sort of thing that she would say to me. And then the other thing, I don't know if you follow Ella Ringrose here on YouTube. She has been talking about a lot recently that when you get to, like, that she used to chase. She used to chase money and success, and when she finally got to that she realized that's not really it. That's not really what's bringing true happiness to you. And I think that is something to keep in mind, that that's something that, the coaching program that I'm in, Brooke Castillo always says, it is not better here, or like, it's good where you are and it's good where I am, and there's nothing wrong in inspiring to higher goals or more, but just be aware that wherever you are on your journey, it's always going to be 50-50. It's always going to be 50 good and 50 bad. And it's just going to be a different 50-50 depending where you are. And does that mean you should just stay where you are because it's always going to be 50-50? No, because we came here for growth and for living. Well, I hope you came here for living the best life that you can, and not just listening to some of the BS thoughts of that, because they're not you. So I hope this live stream today helped. I really enjoyed preparing it. I just want to quickly tell you, next week's topic is boundaries, and it's going to be a really, really interesting live stream. I've already prepared it. I'm going to do a little bit more research, but it's something that I've been wanting to look into for a while, and it really is interesting. So come and join next Monday, 7 p.m. UK time. As always, also, if you have any topics you would like me to do as a live stream, research, all the good things, then just write that in the chat or in the comments below. And yes, go and also follow me on Instagram, Melanie.Josephine. All right, so I hope you enjoyed our little get-together. Thank you so much for being here. Lots of love, and bye.